Good morning. Today I'll be discussing the topic of deer farming. In rural America, deer farming is one of the fastest growing industries. This industry can be fascinating to research, especially the genetics side of research done in the deer farming industry. It is important for people to know about this growing industry in America. I've been working as a ranch hand and a guide for a deer farm in my hometown for the past 3 years. I've also been an active hunter for as long as I can remember. Over the past few years, I've grown to love deer while working at the farm. During the years, I have encountered some of the obstacles associated with deer farming and conserving the herd. One of my favorite things to do outside of school is learning about deer. I'm going to inform you on a disease, a couple of difficulties, and a couple of different ways to conserve the herd associated with deer farming. First, I'm going to talk about a disease called epizootic hemorrhagic disease, or EHD. EHD causes rapid death when it affects the main parts of the body first. As of right now, there are 8 strains of EHD in the United States. The 2 strains that we normally deal with are EHD1 and EHD2. However, there has been an increase in EHD6, which can be as dangerous as EHD1. This virus does not alter the membrane of the red blood cells, therefore the spleen does not recognize it as an infected cell. According to Deer Farming for Dummies, the disease is very deadly as if it affects the most critical parts of the body first. If it affects the less critical parts of the body first, then the body will be able to try and fight off the disease. I have seen firsthand the effects of EHD and it is not a pretty sight. Most of the cases I have seen usually resulted in the death of a deer. The deer will look extremely healthy one day, and then a couple days later, it could be on its deathbed. That is why it is important to keep a close watch on deer during the EHD season. According to the 2019 EHD report, roughly 900 deer died in the south central area of the state after contracting EHD, and there are possibly more deer among the farmers' crops. There are many difficulties in deer farming like disease, but the most common one is money. Deer farming is one of the more expensive types of farming due to the feed, the medicine, and the genetics. Another major cost is the facilities. The types of facilities you will need are a handling facility, a preserve, a breeding pen, a soft release, a barn for your feed and your vaccinations, and a nursing pen for sick or injured deer. Most people feed an expensive protein-based feed to make their deer look bigger and healthier, and this also helps to boost their immune system by the minerals and stuff you put in the feed. Another difficulty is time. Deer farming will take up the majority of your time. A solution to this is to hire help for your property so you'll be able to do other things besides working on the farm. This way you can leave and the hired hand will be able to take care of the deer. This also comes in handy when you have another job besides the deer farm. It is important to have time and money and equipment to manage your deer farm and protect your deer herd. Deer farming can be expensive and time consuming, but the work is very fulfilling. Lastly, there are 2 main ways of conserving your deer herd, and the first one is by trapping predators. The main predators you'll be trapping are coyotes, raccoons, possums, and bobcats. There are 4 types of traps that you use to trap these animals, and they are foot traps, snares, dog-proof foot traps, and live traps. A few of the predators will eat all the expensive food out of the feeders, such as the coons and the possums. The coyotes and the bobcats will drastically hurt the fawn crop each year. The second way to conserve your deer herd is the proper vaccination and medications. Without proper treatments, the deer can get all kinds of illnesses. Deer can get extremely sick in the dog days of summer and right after the rut. It is important to trap the predators and have proper vaccinations and medications to conserve your deer herd. In conclusion, successful deer farming can have its challenges, but it can also be very rewarding. There is a lot more information on deer farming, but I only discussed a disease, a couple of difficulties, and a couple of different ways to conserve the deer herd. These past years working on a deer farm have been very rewarding and great experience for me. Wayne Passel said, "Deer farming originated in Colorado with mule deer and has continued to spread all across the United States and is steadily increasing in Alabama. I love working with wildlife and conserving their populations, and deer farming is a great industry, and I hope it continues to grow in Alabama. Thank you.